Thank you, everyone. Welcome to the Plymouth Select Board Tuesday meeting, May 9th, 2023. If you would care to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first order of business is public comment. Do we have anyone that wishes to speak under, oh geez, there's a whole gaggle of them. Well, ladies first, Mr. Cirque. Please, thank you.
Thank you. My name's Evelyn Strawn. I'm here as a representative of the League of Women Voters, and I just wanted to remind the Select Board and everyone who's watching about an event that's happening this Thursday. It's sponsored by the No Place for Hate Committee and the League of Women Voters. Over the last few years, these two organizations have done a number of forums on, one was Meet Your Muslim Neighbor, another was on immigration from 1620 to the current time. And so this time, instead of doing a panel, we're actually trying a different format, and it's called, so here we have, the Race and Song, a Musical Conversation. So this Thursday at the Spire, there will be two very good folk singers. They're nationally and internationally known, been nominated for Grammys. So, and in addition to being great singers, they're also good storytellers. So we're trying to continue the conversation, but in a different format. So we hope that people will want to come out Thursday night. You can get tickets in advance at the Spire website, or there'll be tickets at the door. So thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Cirque? Oh. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. You won't. No, you can go ahead.
She just said ladies first. Hello, I'm Cheryl Heller. I live at 20 Chilton Street. I'm also the president of Southeastern Massachusetts Pine Barrens Alliance. Last week at the Candidates Forum, Mr. Quintal asked for someone to come today and talk about the Forest Legacy Program. So, Mr. Quintal, I'm here for that purpose. The Southeastern Massachusetts Pine Barrens Alliance, SEMPA for short, received a 3-year U.S. Forest Service landscape scale restoration grant in 2017 that included several partners, including the town of Plymouth. On completing the grant, we were encouraged by our U.S. Forest Service grant monitor to apply for a Forest Legacy grant. The Forest Legacy Program is a federal program that provides grants to states to purchase forested land. States determine the eligible areas and prioritize projects according to the state's assessment needs. In 2020, the state added the region that includes the town of Plymouth as a priority area for land acquisition based on our globally rare ecosystems. Lands acquired through this grant are held either by the municipality in which the land is, or by a state agency such as Mass Fish and Wildlife or the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation, that is DCR, if the municipality prefers not to manage that land. The Forest Legacy funding typically provides up to $20 million for Massachusetts divided between 1 to 3 projects. The DCR decides what projects to submit to the Forest Service for funding. The DCR deadline for FY 2025 funding is July 15th, 2023, before the national submission deadline of September 18th, 2023. Now, this is the big news. In addition to the Forest Legacy core funding of $20 million to Massachusetts, the Inflation Reduction Act, IRA, includes an additional $50 million for the Commonwealth this year. There are 3 types of projects under the Forest Legacy Program for which Plymouth could apply. Number 1 is the Keystone Large Landscape project, large-scale and high-impact projects with exceptional public benefits. Massachusetts is only allowed to submit one Keystone project funded at up to $50 million. The project must have a single property owner, as does the Holtec property, and it requires a 25% non-federal match, but there are state programs in place that help with the match. The second type of program is called Strategic Small Tracts / Family Forest Project. These are small tract projects that protect strategic inholdings or adjacent properties to already protected lands. And then number 3 is Tribal Partnerships projects, projects where the state actively partners with tribes, and these can be both federally and state-listed tribes, to conserve land with high importance and benefits for these tribes. The deadline for the IRA project proposals are as follows. There will be a release of the call letter and scoring guidance for proposals this June 2023. The deadline for the FY24 IRA project proposals is December 2023. And the deadline for the FY24 IRA project proposals due to the U.S. Forest Service will happen in May of 2024. I have provided the contact information here for Lindsay Nystrom. She is the Forest Legacy Program Coordinator for DCR. And I have also included some links to webinars and the slides from those webinars that speak to the U.S. Forest Service Legacy Program. I would be happy to leave those with you, and I would just suggest that perhaps you'd like to form a committee to investigate these grant proposals and maybe consider a knowledge and understanding of what's available if you're negotiating with Holtec in the future. So, Mr. Quinto, thank you.
Thank you very much. The reason I requested it, because at the debate last week, Mr. Mann made the remark, quote, the town lost, I think he said either the town or the select board lost $50 million grant last year. So I said to him, please come Tuesday night and bring me that check. I'd love to see it, as I know the rest of the board would. I'm very familiar with parts of that grant because I did actually do some homework on it. And it was during COVID, so I still have them all back when I researched it at that time. Patrick was on the board, Mr. Flaherty, that's it. And I was trying to follow it and understand it. So, I mean, I do know it exists, but I also know it's across the Commonwealth. So, I think it was just, a reaction to that. But I'm more than happy to have, if I'm so lucky to be here, gladly look at it when the time is ready or right with Holtec. But it's a little early in the game, and we shouldn't be talking about it right here. But anyway, regardless, thank you for your time, and I will add that to my folder. Sala, I appreciate it.
One of the things that I know that the town is venturing for that legacy grant for the Holtec property. We were told that Holtec withdrew their claim to, or the document that said that they would sell, I believe it was yourself and your vice president, Mr. Mann, and they said they weren't going to do it. So I think the town has taken the lead to try to move forward. I'm sure that they'd share all sorts of information, and the goal is to get the property, and I don't think anybody cares who gets it as long as we get it. So, but thank you for providing that information. Now, Mr. Cirque, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. Rich Cirque, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 2. On July 29, 2019, the town entered into a 5-year lease with the Southeastern Massachusetts Pine Barrens Alliance, which you've just heard mention about, for town-owned property at 158 Center Hill Road. The termination date of the lease is July 31, 2024, more than a year from now, unless the lease is extended or renewed prior to that date. The lease provided the Alliance would need the prior written consent of the board if it wished to sublet any portion of the premises. 3 weeks ago, in a letter to the Alliance written on town letterhead and signed by the chair of this board, the chair claimed that the Alliance had violated the terms of its lease by, quote, subleasing the property to its attorney, Margaret Sheehan, without the consent of the select board, close quote. Her claim was based on the following reasons, all of which are true but irrelevant. One, in 2021, Attorney Sheehan incorporated Save the Pine Barrens, a separate and distinct nonprofit corporation. Number two, Attorney Sheehan is listed on state records as the president, treasurer, clerk, and director of Pine Barrens. Number three, the corporate address of Pine Barrens is listed on state records as 158 Center Hill Road. Number four, a certificate of change of directors, which added 3 members to the board of directors of Pine Barrens, listed 158 Center Hill Road as their addresses. Number five, certain corporate filings for Pine Barrens have listed its corporate address as 158 Center Hill Road. Number six, the bylaws of Pine Barrens list its organizational address as 158 Center Hill Road. And number seven, in correspondence from Attorney Sheehan to various departments of the town on behalf of Pine Barrens from 2021 to March 2023, the mailing address of Pine Barrens was listed as 158 Center Hill Road. As I said, all of these statements are true, but in no way do they establish that the Alliance sublet a portion of the property to Attorney Sheehan or Pine Barrens and thereby violated the terms of its lease. Any attorney with even a rudimentary familiarity with the law of commercial leases will tell you that none of these facts, either individually or collectively, prove that a sublease was entered into between the Alliance and Attorney Sheehan, or that those facts establish a quote-unquote tenancy in any way. The chair's letter even acknowledged the fact that no sublease agreement ever has been signed between the Alliance and Attorney Sheehan. The chair simply claimed, on no basis at all, that the town's lease with the Alliance had been violated by Attorney Sheehan because, quote, her use and occupation of rental space owned by the town created a tenancy at the property without permission. The irony of this claim is that her letter was presumably written for her by the board's new hand-picked in-house town council firm. That firm has an office in Town Hall. By her reasoning, that firm is subleasing a portion of Town Hall from the town. Of course that's not the case. That firm is simply occupying a portion of Town Hall with the permission of the Select Board. And yet that same firm is apparently now advising the chair that the Alliance is breaching the terms of its lease with the town by allowing Attorney Sheehan to use the leased premises. If that were true, and even if Attorney Sheehan represented Pine Barrens, which she does not, then all Massachusetts corporations with in-house corporate counsel will have to change the terms of their legal representation. There is a danger when an attorney is willing to do his client's bidding by setting forth claims that have no merit. The letter also stated that, quote, monies were exchanged with Attorney Sheehan and the Alliance, close quote. The chair stated that a review of Internal Revenue Service filings submitted to the Office of the Attorney General by the Alliance indicates that Attorney Sheehan, on behalf of L. Knife & Son Corp., a family corporation of which Attorney Sheehan's father is a director, and the Community Land and Water Coalition, has paid the Alliance a significant amount of money since July 2020. It's public knowledge that the Alliance is a Section 501c3 approved nonprofit corporation that is eligible to accept charitable donations. It's my understanding that since it was established many years ago, the Alliance has accepted charitable donations from many people and has received grants from several sources, as you've just heard, including but not limited to donations from the Sheehan family and from L. Knife & Son, Inc. The chair's reference to those donations and her allusion to any others in no way established that these monies were rental payments under a sublease. It's my understanding that neither Attorney Sheehan nor any other donors to the Alliance received any benefit or service or expected to receive any benefit or service in exchange for their donations beyond a tax deduction. It's also my understanding that Attorney Sheehan and Pine Barrens as volunteers and contractors are among the many organizations and individuals from across southeastern Massachusetts and beyond who visit 158 Center Hill Road from time to time, that the office and conference center at the property are open to any member of the public to use and visit for meetings, that many public educational talks, conferences, and meetings have been held there, and that upcoming educational events are listed on Pine Barrens' website for all to attend. Are you serious when you claim that one or more visits or meetings create a sublease? When the town entered into the lease in 2019, it was for the purpose of education and community outreach on environmental issues that affect us all. If this is an issue, why did the town enter into a lease for the property to the Alliance in the first place? The chair complained in her letter that, quote, Attorney Sheehan was using town property to litigate against the town, close quote. Attorney Sheehan did not check her First Amendment rights in at the door when she walked into 158 Center Hill Road, and nor should any other person who visits the property be expected to do so. Simply put, her letter relies on a series of links in a chain which in no way support her claim. My remarks here tonight are made primarily to rebut the contents of her letter rather than to defend Ms. Sheehan. Ms. Sheehan can and will speak for herself. I can tell you that when I was in practice, I often found myself representing clients who opposed the positions of Ms. Sheehan's clients. But in this case, the claims made in the chair's letter are so far-fetched that they must be challenged. Finally, I also want to say a word about the timing of this letter. This letter was sent within a month of the upcoming May 20 town election. I suspect that the chair was hoping that her letter, once made public, would influence that election in favor of the candidates and positions she is supporting. Or perhaps before leaving the select board, the chair simply wanted to send a parting shot to the candidates and positions that she disfavors and to get back at Attorney Sheehan for her advocacy on behalf of the environment. Why else would a letter be sent more than 1 year before the expiration of this lease in order to advise the Alliance that its lease may not be extended or renewed after it expires more than 1 year from now? I submit to you that whatever her motivation was, this letter brought disrepute upon this board collectively and upon any individual board member who voted in support of sending it. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Cirque, when something is brought to our attention that something is done wrong, you don't hold off and wait because there's an upcoming election. Although I appreciate your legal opinion, I actually take the legal opinion of our town council much more seriously. Thank you. Mr. McKay.
I'm George McKay, and I'll be on a lighter and shorter note.
Wonderful. We love that.
I'm here to follow up on a presentation I made earlier this year regarding the license plate program we have in Plymouth. And I put some information on the board, and John Mahoney picked up on one of the line items I had, and he said, "This doesn't make sense. You're talking about a certain number of license plates out there and the revenue they're generating, and the two numbers don't match." And I said, "You know, John, you're right, and I will get back to you on that." And so the purpose of my comments tonight are to answer John's question. I've seen license plates, PL license plates out there in the 6,000 series. I've seen many license plates out there in the 4,000 and 5,000 series. So recently somebody said to me, "You know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to order a PL license plate." And I said, "Oh, very good. I'd like to know when you get it, what number it is." So 10 days later, this is what appeared in the mailbox. PL 4227. And I said, "That doesn't make sense to me." So I wanted to borrow this license plate for the night to show you what came in the mail a couple of days ago. So over the weekend, beginning on Friday, I started talking to the RMV again, and we've been talking off and on for over a year. But I said, you know, I got some issues here. We got 6,000 plates out, 5,000 plates out. Now somebody just received in the mail a 4,000 plate. What is going on? And she said, "Oh, it's very simple. We issue these numbers on a random basis." Problem solved, right? Unfortunately, it means that we don't have 6,000 plates out there generating revenue. We have much less than that. So I asked for the number. The number is over 2,000. We got 2,065 license plates out there generating revenue from PL number 1, which somebody paid $10,000 for, up to, I think the number I saw was 6,125. So anyway, that's the answer to your question, John. And we'll follow up on this later on in the year when we talk about the Plymouth Legacy programs. We're rebranding the promotion of the license plate, and this is one of the ways we're doing the rebranding. The previous promotions had magnetic signs that said PL 2020. And so when people thought, "Gee, should I get a license plate?" Oh, that's dated. That was the commemoration of 2020. So now the promotion information is going to have a PL 2023. So hopefully we'll do better. So anyway, thank you for your time, and thank you very much for your support.
Thank you, Mr. McKay. Mr. Farah.
Madam Chair, we also have David Golden via Zoom.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone, members of the board. My name is Patrick Farah, I'm planning staff. And just a quick announcement for this Saturday at May 13th throughout the day is the townwide cleanup. So if anyone is interested and who has not signed up, please call 508-322-3374. That's my direct line, and I will help you get some trash bags, and we have a sign-up sheet at Town Hall up in the planning office. Just wanted to say that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Golden, please. Good evening, Mr. Golden. Muted. There you go. Nope, you're muted.
Allowing me the time to speak here tonight. I come before you to put something on the record that I think is important for the folks in this town to hear. Last night, in the very room in which you're sitting, the chair of the Charter Commission repeated a claim that he and several other commissioners have used countless times to legitimize the proposed charter. Commonwealth has reviewed last night. Totally. The terms of all sitting members of the Board of Selectmen.
David, something's going on with your audio. Hold on a second.
Well, something
happened there.
Can we try to bring him on again?
Can you folks hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. I will start over. Sorry for that. Last night, in the very room in which you're sitting, the chair of the Charter Commission repeated a claim that he and several other commissioners have used countless times in order to legitimize the proposed charter. Simply stated, they tell us that the Attorney General of the Commonwealth has reviewed the proposal and found it to be, as Mr. Abbott stated last night, totally legal. This includes an alleged approval of the section in the charter that ends the term of all sitting select board members, as well as the town moderator. This claim is not true. The section in question is 9-9, and it was never provided to the Attorney General for review. The preliminary report, which included the draft charter, was sent to the AG's office for review and was dated August 29th, 2022. That document ends at section 9-8-2. It was sent to the Attorney General on September 15th, 2022, and the Attorney General responded with their comments on October 12th, 2022. Section 9-9 wasn't added to the proposed charter until 2 drafts later, dated October 24th, 2022. So contrary to what is being said by the Charter Commission, the state has never seen the provision that the chairman is telling the residents is approved. This is simply not true. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair, we
Yeah.
also have Irene Caldwell that is available via Zoom. Irene, you can unmute yourself now. Irene, you need to unmute yourself. Irene, we can see you. Are you able to speak to us? Irene, can you hear us?
No, I can't hear you at all.
We can hear you.
There's no sound. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, can I make my statement?
Yes.
All right, I can't hear what you're saying. Give me a thumbs up. It's been a very nice experience in civic responsibility since I got concerned about Morton Park. And I really appreciate everything that I've learned about how our town works. Natural Resources Committee did not meet again tonight at 6 o'clock. And I had so many questions about the follow-up to Morton Park. But I want to assume that the selectmen and the Marine and Environmental Affairs Committee is doing due diligence and thinking about the new plan. But, you know, being 78, I'm a worrywart. And I wanted to know who is thinking about the traffic flow of the walkers coming from Algonquin Heights and coming down from Colonial Arms and coming up through that lovely, that subdivision that's right across from Morton Park. Is there somebody in charge of that and like having a walking sign, you know, how many seconds are we going to give people to walk? So, so that's the one thing I had. And then I had another idea. wouldn't it be nice if we had a jitney at the rear entrance to Morton Park where we had a place to park? And then when the bus got full, it took you down to one of the beaches in Morton Park. And then we wouldn't have the traffic and overuse of the roads. And 3, I really want to be on a committee that places the environment, natural resources, and our public's needs, where I at least get to propose these things. And thank you very much, but I don't even see your picture now, so I don't know if you heard me or not, but I'm signing off.
Okay, anybody else for public comment? All right, we have a list of administrative notes. If the board has no issues, I'd like to see them moved as a group. Do we have a motion?
Move as presented.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Quintal, seconded by Mr. Helm. Discussion. All those in favor, roll call. Mr. Helm.
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Quintal.
Yes.
And myself, yes, it's unanimous. Thank you. Next on the agenda is streetlight purchase and LED retrofit cost, environmental analysis. Mr. Farah, our energy officer.
All right, hello again. So, Mr. Quintal, I know this is better late than never, but sometimes complex questions require complex answers. All right, so in response to the Board of Selectmen request for a streetlight purchase and retrofit cost analysis, the town hired Power Options, and I have with me tonight Michelle Gardner from Power Options in the back. They're a nonprofit organization that provides municipalities with energy management services to conduct a cost and environmental benefit analysis. As part of this study, Power Options retained the services of Guardian Energy Management Services, a turnkey energy solutions provider to assist with specific project costs. And also, I have Patrick Mahoney with Guardian. So, throughout the town, there are approximately 2,600 high-pressure sodium, metal halide, and mercury light fixtures. This does not include all the downtown decorative lighting, as well as some of the other town-owned lighting in some of the subdivisions. These non-LED fixtures consume about 856,000 kilowatt hours annually and emit over 220 metric tons of CO2. Based on the latest electric bills, Guardian found that the town currently pays over $315,000 a year for the utility-owned light fixtures. That's including the rent as well as the energy cost. The retrofit is expected to save energy, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, lower annual costs, reduce maintenance operations while increasing light quality. Also, owning the fixtures, so if the town were to go to town meeting and vote to acquire the fixtures, they would also result in a change in the utility rate classification, therefore a change in the cost per kilowatt hour of electricity consumed. So to put that in perspective, if the town were to go to town meeting and vote and also retrofit all the lights to LED, there would be a decrease of approximately 544,000 kilowatt hours annually, as well as a greenhouse gas reduction of 140 metric tons. So it'll be actually about 75 metric tons annually of greenhouse gas emissions per year. Energy costs are estimated to be about $110,000 annually. So it will save from the $315,000 over $200,000, and that's per year. When considering the annual maintenance costs of over $25,000, the town would save approximately $228,000 collectively each year. The projected 10-year savings is over $750,000, with an estimated payback period of less than 8 years, probably closer to 7.5. And also, the proposed light emittance color will be a full spectrum. Many of you, I'm sure, have seen these high-pressure sodium lights, and they're this really dark amber, not really, well, they're more annoying than anything else. So what we would propose is it's a Kelvin color of full spectrum, and it'll provide a lot better lighting. So to achieve this goal, like I mentioned before, will require a two-step process. One, it'll require a vote of town meeting to acquire all the utility-owned light fixtures. And Eversource's current estimate is approximately $250,000 to purchase the lights, if town meeting does vote in favor of it. The second phase would be to retrofit all these existing lights to LED. And the investment needed to retrofit all the lighting to LED is estimated at $1.49 million. This total initial investment would be about $1.75 million. And also keep in mind, if the town does vote to acquire the lights and retrofit them, the town will also be responsible for all maintenance and repair of the acquired infrastructure. And that's what I have. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Wonderful, thank you. I know this has been one of Mr. Quinto's little pet projects for a few years, so it's nice to see these things come to fruition. Does the board have any questions? No? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much.
What, Mr., hold on.
Steve Lighton, Patrick, I got a question. Would there be any grants available to the town to reduce the price of the service and the purchase of the lights? I know sometimes when you go into schools, you knock down the price of, they go in and they reduce the usage in the buildings on a grant. Is there any way that the town could get grants to help us with this price?
Mr. Lyden, thank you for that question. It's a great question. Possibly. It depends. As of right now, I have been keeping in close contact with Eversource to see if they could reduce the acquisition pricing, and that is not on the table right now. As far as retrofitting, we would work with both Power Options and/or Guardian. Actually, we'd be working with since it's such a large project, we'd have to go out to bid. But that is something that we would be looking at. We are now a green community designated. We don't have that. We had that designation, so we could look at some funding for there, but would only cover a portion of it. And I would advise greatly against phasing this project, because with the maximum of $200,000 annually, it would take a few years, and by that time, technology changes and consultants go in and out of business, contractors, and it wouldn't be a wise choice, at least in my opinion.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the much-awaited Stevens Field update. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Quintal.
Just 1 second, please, David. I just want to say thank you, Patrick. I know things in government and how you have to put all the pieces in there, but I really hope we get it to town meeting and it passes, because, we told our horns we need to do more. So it's all about doing more, and I think it's great. Good job. Thank you.
Okay, now, Mr. Gould.
Good evening, everyone. For the record, David Gould, Director of Marine and Environmental Affairs, and I'm sure folks are anticipating a long-awaited update on Stevens Field. So very quickly, we started working again in late February upon the departure of the DPW Director. The town manager had requested that I begin working on this project along with Ann Slusser, Nick Fiella, which we started doing about a little over 2 months ago. And I think we've made a tremendous amount of progress in that time, and I want to thank both Ann and Nick for all their hard work during the last few months. It wouldn't have been remotely possible without them helping, so I appreciate that very, very much. So at that time, there was an expectation, unfortunately, that there was a mid-March bid date. Quickly learned that that was unrealistic, and I just want to let you know what we've been working on and why that was unrealistic. Since we started working on this a little over 2 months ago, we've had to assess both the buildings out there for lead paint and asbestos. That hadn't been done, so we needed to do that. We had to disconnect those buildings from electrical, sewer, water, get zoning permits in place, and get those 2 buildings ready for demolition, and we have done that. We also had significant environmental issues out there that I think you and the community are well aware of. There was a previous AK Finney building, there were the previous underground storage tanks that had been removed, and there was some hydrocarbons still left in the soil, and then there were other issues with coal ash and other material out throughout the site. That work hadn't been done yet either. So there's a process in Massachusetts called the MCP, which is the Mass Contingency Plan, which is essentially 21 East sites that we had to enter into. Since that time, we've done 28 test pits, 40 soil samples, 6 geotech borings, and 6 geotech test pits. The geotech is an investigation of the soils to make sure that it's suitable, whether or not it be for a building foundation or underneath the playground or the tennis courts or pickleball courts, to make sure that they're built correctly. So that's a lot of going out, doing test pits, doing digging, doing soil samples. And again, a thank you to DPW and Highway Division especially for that work. They saved a lot of town money by doing that work for us. We identified 4 areas within the park that we had to look at from an MCP issue. And essentially what we do is we look at it from what was called a risk assessment, an assessment for human health and an assessment of eco-risk. We looked at the gravel parking lot, we then looked at the ball field area, we looked at the tennis courts, and we looked at the area we refer to as the duck pond area. While they all have some level of issues, they're all quite easily we can work through most of those issues. The one area that did show up with some concerns was actually underneath the tennis courts. That was some significant fill material. It had some elevated levels of lead and antimony in it. So that is an area we went out to last week and did additional test pits to get both depth and horizontal analysis done of what we're seeing out there. That will be the area where we will have to remove soil from the site and do some cleanup work there. Quite honestly, that was much better information and data than I was expecting. So in all, that's a lot of good news. There are some other areas where there are hydrocarbons in the soil, and we'll incorporate that into the bid documents to make sure that's an appropriate contractor who's doing the right thing out there. So we will be putting together everything we need to do for the MCP to comply with DEP regulations, one of which the town manager signed a document, which is an administrative consent order. And I know that sounds a little scary, but quite honestly, we requested it. Because there had been so much environmental cleanup work at Stevens Field, there were 4 reporting track numbers, these RTNs. And what we asked DEP was if they could consolidate those into one and give us one compliance schedule for all of that into one document. And they did that, and the town manager has signed that, and we've sent it back. So we are in compliance, we will remain in compliance, and we move forward with the project. Just very quickly, again, the core improvements that you'll see out there are the buildings, the bathrooms. We'll have a new bathroom, we'll have a new concession building, we'll have a new playground structure, we'll have 3 new tennis courts, 4 new pickleball courts, new parking lot, sidewalks, green space, and landscaping. And then there are other components that we will put into bid alternates. Hopefully, if there's the funding, we can achieve those. Those would be things like the improvements to the baseball field, the fence, the backstop, the bleachers, and the basketball court. So getting through all of that, I know everyone wants to know, well, when is it going to happen? So the bid dates, we will be getting all the documents to the procurement office on Monday, June 5th, and it will go out to bid then, and the bids will be due Thursday, July 6th. In the meantime, we'll be using state bids to order some of the materials out there, like the playground structure and the building, and getting those pre-ordered and ready to go. So those will be owner provided to the contractor, but we'll start eating up that lead time. So again, June 5th and Thursday, July 6th, we will open bids for Stevens Field. If anybody has any questions, I will attempt to answer them.
Mr. Mahoney.
So I guess the bids are due by July 6th, David. 2 days after the 4th of July, so, you know, I don't know how to put this, so give us the perfect world with respect to awarding a bid, execution of construction, and completion of the project.
So procurement is pretty fantastic about turning around contracts, so I don't think that's going to take too long. We also hope to be able to do some pre-construction work out there with our staff. Hopefully that will happen. So you might even see demolition before that. That will drive down some of the costs and allow us to do more of the more positive things with the contractor afterwards. I would expect that the contractor, if we can get a contract and a bid, my hope is that we have a contractor working out there sometime in August, taking advantage of at least three months of good weather, August, September, October.
And then once
and
that
work right through the
happens-
winter and work into the spring, and hopefully late spring, we can open the park.
But then the park, once that company gets on the ground, and if it happens in August, then Stevens is off limits, correct?
Correct.
And then,
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a construction site, obviously.
Sure.
But then there's also the secondary issue of hydrocarbons in the soil, areas that we need to clean up. Will we be stockpiling material in compliance with regulations? We don't want people walking through that site until it's clean.
In a perfect world, everything would be done by the 4th of July of '24?
I think that's possible, yes.
That's building in hopefully a couple of months of fudge time?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. All right, I know, I think you're on the agenda for CPC for Thursday night. I know that the last
Yes.
meeting that the committee voted to have you come in for some technical advice on a potential article, so
Yes.
I'm looking forward. I think they'll also love to hear the update on Stevens Field, probably, and a couple of other topics, too.
We can certainly provide them the same update that we've provided
All right,
tonight.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, if we could put pen to paper, so this is something that we could post on our website, because there's quite a bit of talk on some of the social media sites about the update for Stevens Field, so if we could get that and get it out on the town website so the rest of us can share it to our constituents. Please, thank you.
I will work with Anthony to do that.
Okay. The next on the agenda, thank you, David, I'm sorry. The next on the agenda is digital communications and engagement technology presentation. I don't know if folks have noticed that we've launched a brand-new website. We've got some online e-permitting and other things that we have a few folks in here that we're going to be explaining what it's all about. So this is Mr. Young from IT.
Joe Young, IT Director. That would help. Technology one, keep mics on. Sorry, folks. The items we're going to be showing you this evening are the new website, C-Click-Fix, OpenGov, poll pads, and online marriage registration system. Before we go into greater details, it's important to note that these items address the following FY 2023 Select Board goals and priorities. Develop a 311 system, that's C-Click-Fix. Develop a user-friendly website. Develop an enhanced agenda management system. Improved online bill notification and payment tools for taxpayers. Develop a one-stop shop for town permitting. Although not being presented tonight, we previously addressed the goal of implementing a wayfinding kiosk, there's actually 2 of them in this building, and creating a citizens help desk at Town Hall. At this time, I'd like to recognize the employees that made this all happen. The website redesign team was Mary Beth McQuarrie from IT, Anthony Sinesi from the Town Manager's Office, Kelly McElrath from the Town Clerk, and myself. The C-Click-Fix team was Brad Brothers, Anthony Sinesi, and myself. OpenGov team was led by Nick Mayo. The poll pads and MRS team was led by Kelly McElrath. Before we get to the new website, I thought it's important to look back at where we came from. So, history of Plymouth's website, September 2000. Staff, we launched our own webpage. The URL was townofplymouth.org. Very limited. It probably got updated once a quarter. And we had no money budgeted. And these were the results. Remember, this was 2000. We didn't. Hold on, hold on. I'm not sure we can find a spot on the new website for this, but we'll try. Then in January 2002, a local web design firm stepped up, offered to host and design the website for us for free. All the design upgrades and hosting were provided free of charge, and the web budget of $4,000 was established. The caveat to it was all the updates to the website had to go through the vendor. And we had this, and it was Web Wizards of New England. In August of 2003, we changed the URL to plymouth-ma.gov. We switched firms. We added some more features, town news. And now we took a big step forward in town employees, IT staff were allowed to actually update the page real time. Budget, $7,800. And this is what it looked like. In 2006, a new company was brought on board, new redesign, a lot more functionality, budget just over $10,000. And all departments assumed responsibility for updating their own pages with their information. We eliminated the bottleneck of going through IT. And this is what it looked like. In 2015, we redesigned, same company, $24,000 web budget. This is what we have. Brings us to today. It addresses the Select Board's goals and priorities. Civic Plus purchased our previous vendor, Virtual Town Hall, so it's essentially the same company. New design and format was introduced. We added See-Click Fix and online permitting. Web budget is currently $38,250, and we're at our new website. So now I'm going to try and go from over here, unless Anthony wants to. The microphone is on. And just show some of the nuances and the change of the new website.
Good evening, everyone. Joe and I can touch base on a few things that we'd like to go over for the new website. So we see here, this is the home page. If you are all able to see that at home as well. You can see here, like, a lot of the information that was on the previous websites and the designs of them are all located on the home page. It's just a different format. It's more user-friendly. It has a little bit more of a stylistic element to it. And this is very much the standard for a lot of town websites, municipalities, when it comes to the overall layout and design. If somebody is looking for information on the website, generally they are going to be gravitating towards, we love to call it the mega menu. We have 6 different buckets. We have government, which includes boards and committees and things of that nature. We have a dedicated town meeting page. We have information regarding elections and voters. We have public records requests, town budget. All of these things along here, these are hot button things that people are looking for. If somebody's looking for a specific department and they know exactly what they're looking for, it's right here. For residents that might not know where to look, they could start here potentially. A lot of the things that we migrated over, we determined based off of the click rate and what pages and the analytics behind the old site to determine what would be migrated over on the homepage. So we are kind of funneling that information and getting that information to people right on the homepage as clear as day, so people can be able to see that information. We also have a new to Plymouth page, which is pretty exciting. So if folks don't know where to start, they can look here. We also prioritize businesses as well. So we have a spot for inspectional services, properties and permits. How about starting a business? That's a very daunting task at any municipality. And we have a page dedicated for that we're building out to provide a little bit more information and context for people that are starting a business or interested in starting a business. Visitors, it's worth noting that if you Google search, Bing, Yahoo, whatever you use, this page, plymouth-ma.gov, is the first thing you click on and you see when you're searching for Plymouth MA. We get a lot of folks that are looking for visitor information because, you know, Plymouth is a tourism destination for a lot of folks. So we highlighted those things specifically to the See Plymouth official tourism website. So all of these links here actually take you to See Plymouth. So again, we're trying to integrate the great resources that we all have in our community and highlighting them. We also have a good spot here called How Do I? It looks a little daunting, but if you take a look at it, it kind of makes sense intuitively, in my opinion. So you have, you know, buckets here: access, apply for, contact, pay, learn about, report a concern, stay informed, and watch. And it has various things that we've determined are hot button things that people want to get information quickly. So like I said, that mega menu is really important for people to understand how this website works and operates and how it's formatted. And if somebody's not finding that thing, they can also go to the search bar as well, which has been, we've done some tests, and it's a lot more accurate than the old search feature as well. So we've utilized tagging, search engine optimization, so that we are able to get the information that people want and make it one of the first or the second searched items. We also have this little nifty thing here on the side that carries over for the homepage. I'm not going to get into the weeds here, but I kind of am already. But this is kind of helpful for folks, you know, that are kind of used to the old site. Everything was smack dab in the middle of the page. All the main things here are here. So you can click on them and it takes you to a different part of the homepage. We also have agendas and minutes, career opportunities, pay bills and fees online. Please note that your water and sewer bills are due on June 1st. Didn't mean to go to that page, but it's a good FYI. Properties and permits, report a concern, which is see, click, fix, and stay informed, which is kind of the communications element. We carried over some of the consistent features from the old site that we thought were really important: news and updates, providing folks information that is readily available, like the Stevens Field update. We'd provide information through that. We'd probably provide information through a web page. We have the meetings and events calendar. If you click on this, it takes you to all of the meetings that have been posted, that have agendas. And then if you click on this, it takes you to See Plymouth's official tourism website, which we are going to be using for any events that are geared towards the public. We also have a visitor section. Please note that these are kind of in order. So things to do: outdoors and adventure, where to park, that's a big one. Town videos, we are utilizing a lot of PAC TV services. So we have this recent this week in Plymouth with the police chief. We have something to kind of advertise the Cow Cafe, which is awesome, and they have great food. And then the Plymouth Public Library and the events that are going on. So that's essentially the homepage, and that's something that is definitely a little bit different. You have to scroll a little bit, but This is kind of the standard for a lot of web pages, especially in municipalities. And I want to touch upon just a couple more elements, agendas and minutes. That's a part of my job. People ask me, where are the agendas and minutes? Well, now we can say it's all right here. So you can see that we have populated just a couple years worth of minutes and agendas, and we're still working through the process of processing those. It's taking a little bit, but we do have those agendas and minutes that were posted, that were approved, and if you need them, you're always more than welcome to reach out to the public records officer or the town clerk. So all of them are right here. So if you're looking, let's say, for, oh, how about the select board, where we're at right now? Let's go down here. Oh, you want to get this agenda here? Oh, wow, you can click right on it. It takes you right to the agenda. Oh, wow. And you can click right on this link that takes you right to participating to the select board right now in real time. Minutes, when they're approved, get posted right here. There's also a spot for recordings as well that can take you directly to PAC TV's website, which has all the archived recordings for specific boards and committees. I'm going to pause. Does anybody have any questions? So that's one element. We have a more robust notification system. So if you've been receiving emails, you might have received an email today regarding the website. I recommend clicking on that link and looking through the options for getting notifications through email and also via text. We're actually piloting that now. So it's a laundry list of things that you could sign up for. All you need is your email address, which you would click right there. So we're looking to advance that with newsletters, where Mark Reel is working on a sustainability newsletter that we are hoping to have live in June. The Center for Active Living is looking to integrate within this website as well, which is really exciting. And there's a few other communication type things that are going to be really helpful for folks. We have two elements that I think are really important that we're going to talk about. I don't know, Joe, do you have anything to add? Sure. So report a concern, like you mentioned, See Click Fix is what we're calling it. I also call it affectionately Fix It Plymouth. So you can go right to this page here and you can submit a request. Joe, do you want to go through that a little bit?
I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. It's pretty easy to navigate, but there are links. You scroll down the screen. Oh boy. Scroll down. I have to say, Anthony's been the most passionate person I've ever worked on a website redesign team with. And his knowledge coming into the town, having used this platform before, was invaluable to getting this done. If we scroll down, there's a little, at the bottom it says Get the App. So there's a free app you can download, and there's a link for Android and Apple products. Then if we click on the video, this video walks you through how to enter a concern. And then one of the, this has been up for a little over a month and a half with little publicity. But in April, we ran a report, and potholes were the top issue reported. And on average, those issues were addressed in an average of 2.8 days. So in the data we had from March, which was very limited, it was more like 4 days. So we made an improvement over 1 month. So when we get more data, it's going to be interesting to see how long it takes us and what resources we actually need to resolve problems.
So I just want to provide a little bit of context as to what See Click Fix is. So folks can utilize their phone or using a desktop, their laptop, their computer, what have you, They can drag and drop where they are located. They can also type in the search bar their address or the address that is closest to the issue and concern that they have. So for instance, a pothole, try to find that address that's closest to it. And then you're able to write a description, you're able to add a photo outlining where it is, and then it gets submitted and gets processed through the town staff. The Department of Public Works assigns it to a person. They are able to determine if they're able to resolve it, if it's on state property, if it's on town property. And then they're able to directly communicate back to the person that has those concerns. And the fun part is you can see this all in real time. So I think we can do that in a little bit, but you can actually see, how people are communicating and when it gets resolved, and it provides a little bit more context and accessibility, transparency. That's what we're all looking for, and it's a really helpful gadget to have for folks that might be tech savvy. It also could be helpful for town staff to utilize if somebody has a concern or complaint. They can log it within the system. They can recommend folks to try it, but they can also log it within the system as well, so that town staff can respond accordingly. So you can actually see right here, these are some of the concerns that people have logged. Some are acknowledged, some are open, some are closed, and it's all dependent on what the issue is. Yeah.
I think next we want to bring up Nick Mayo to go through OpenGov.
Hey, thanks for coming in, fellas. I appreciate it.
Good evening. For those who don't know me, I'm Nick Mayo, the Director of Inspectional Services. This is our new permitting platform called OpenGov. Just to give you a little background, I've actually used this as a contractor in a handful of other communities, so that's kind of what turned me on to this product, was how user-friendly it is for homeowners and contractors alike to be able to permit stuff from their home or home office or their office without actually having to come to the town hall. Or if they want to, they can do that as well. On another note, this is my second time going through this process. I was previously in the community of Dennis, and we implemented online permitting. Not this system, however, online permitting. And I can tell you firsthand, these types of systems, just like the website, the success of that deployment of that new system is 100% dependent on the staff who are willing to dive in and construct it and get it moving forward. And I can tell you that with inspectional services, the fire department, the DPW, some of these services that are already live, that's exactly what happened, and that's why it's been so successful, is because of the staff that came together to make it happen. So the first thing I wanted to show you is just simply how to access. There's a few things we think about when we think about permitting online or permitting in general, is access to those permits, the user-friendliness of it, how easy is it to use and get through, as well as on the staff side, how does it bring staff together to make it more efficient, and some of the technical things on the back side of the process that most of the public don't see in-house. What do you do with that permit once it's issued? Where does it get archived? How do you incorporate other departments for notifications? How do you process your money? How do you turn a batch over to the finance department? There's a lot of things that go into this, and I can tell you with full confidence that this new system is up and running, and it's running really well. So when you come to the town website, Inspectional Services is a page on the town website, and you can see on the bottom half of the page now, you have some different access points. So one of the first access points here is just a main link that's going to bring you, if you click on that, that's basically just going to bring you to the home page, or people call it a portal, the online permitting portal for the town of Plymouth in general. It's going to show you all the service areas that are live and give you options when you hit there. One thing we opted to do here is we got some feedback from contractors and homeowners, and they really like this option where you see these icons at the bottom of the screen.
If you click on one of these, it's literally going to bring you to that portal right to that type of application. So you know what you're looking for. This is what I want to apply for. You click on that, it's going to bring you right there. It's that simple. So this is what our homepage looks like in our portal. These are the service areas that are currently live. So we do have some service areas coming up. Inspectional services live, fire department is live. Board of Health is under construction right now with OpenGov, their technical staff. They're configuring it as we speak. Planning department is working on a few items in their office as we speak. Administration, they are currently under construction as well. The DPW, they have one application that is live, mainly because I'm dependent on it in inspectional services, so we kind of nudged that one forward, but they are currently under construction. And you have the town clerk who's entertaining, coming on board with a few things, and we're in discussions about that, and same thing with marine environmental affairs. So all in, this is likely the service areas that you'll see kind of one-stop shop permitting, if you will, for the majority of our permits through the town hall. Moving on, this is just a snippet of a general list in inspectional services. I just took a snippet of 3. When you move forward in the permitting portal, you decide to click on a service area. It's going to give you a list of all the available applications that service area, say inspectional services, the building department has to offer. And it's very simple to click on the little blue icon if that's the application you want to file. Previously, when I mentioned the icons on the bottom of the web page, if you click on one of those, it's going to bring you directly to that permit application. Either way, you're going to end up at a page that looks like this, just to confirm that that's the application that you want to apply for. You read the description if it applies, click on it. You're going to get something that looks like this. Either frequent flyers of our system are very familiar with this already. However, this is going to give you a few options. Either you're going to log in if you already have an account, or you're going to sign up. It's going to give you an opportunity to sign up. So any new technology these days with permitting or anything in this world, you need to create an account. It doesn't cost you any money to create that account. However, everything's email-based in this world now. So everything you sign up for, you put an email in as some kind of username, you're creating a password. One thing to note about this, which in the contractor world, we get a lot of positive feedback, and I can speak to this personally. When you permit with OpenGov or citizen services in any community, anywhere, they're a nationwide service, you have the same login information and the same account no matter where you go. The difference is how you access it. If you go to the Town of Plymouth's webpage and access the site, it's going to bring you to the Town of Plymouth's applications. If you go to the Town of Barnstable, it's going to bring you to their applications. It's the same credentials. You have the same account with that company. So contractors really like this who do a lot of work, say, on the South Shore and the Cape. It's very convenient for them. They don't have to remember or try to figure out 10 different passwords and usernames for different accounts. So it's very helpful. Moving on. So once you create an account and you have successfully applied or submitted a permit application, you're going to have your own personal user dashboard. You can put a little picture in here if you want to. I just chose not to do so. On the left-hand side here, you're going to see all your options as a user. As a contractor or homeowner, you're going to have your own dashboard. You can actually send messages to the staff, the town staff that are using this system. You can actually send them a message and they'll receive it in their email and on their platform when they're working every day. You can change your profile up. You can view all the applications you have on here, all your projects. You can access any of your permits at any time, any documents that you've attached to this system, sets of plans, any of those things. Payments, you can go in and choose to pay for anything you want at any time when you're allowed to pay for it, see any money that you're owed. You can also see any inspections that are due on any of your permits that you have, and it'll actually notify you of all of these things. This is just another place to see everything you have going on. So it's also going to list out all your actions required. So actions required in this system is going to say, hey, you owe us money for this permit. Go on and pay for it. Pay for it here. Your permit's been issued. You have a message. We're looking for this set of plans. Please go on and attach it. It's going to notify the user in their email every time an action is needed or required, or any action was taken place. So step one of a build, I'm just going to walk you through a simple building permit application just to get an idea what this looks like. Step one is always going to confirm your information, the applicant's information or the user that's using the system. Once you're logged in, you can edit that at any time. It's editable. Anything in these fields, you can change that information at any time. If anything changes, it's very user-friendly. Simply click next to start through the application. One thing here that's good to note is We did a lot of work on the back end here. This integrates with the assessor's master address table and also the IT and somewhat engineering department's GIS system. So the maps that you see in this system are going to be pulled from our current GIS data, and the addresses come from the assessor's department. So the only addresses that you can select here to file for a permit is anything in the town of Plymouth. It will only allow you to select a current Plymouth address. So this is an address that you're going to plug in where you're doing the work. Simply choose the location and plug it in. Moving on, it's going to bring you to an address page. It's going to show this page, the next page in that application is actually going to bring up the owner's information. This is going to actually pull in the assessor's card, the assessor's record on that property from that master address table, which is also, you can change that information. So we had a lot of feedback in our previous system where in Munis, we couldn't just go in and change the owner of a property. So, and these are never current. So this is always out of date because of Mass General Law and how often it can get updated with the assessor and staff's ability to keep it up to date with constant deed changes and what have you with properties. It's never really live in live time. So this gives the applicant the opportunity to update that at the application process, which will also not write back to the assessor's records. So this doesn't affect anything other than this one record, and that's it. So that's very key for us. So also something else to mention, you can save and exit this at any time. So if I'm an applicant and I'm going on and I don't have all the information, I can simply save it, log out, go get the information, come back to it, and pick up where I left off. Moving forward, we took a very simple approach with our applications, and the system's kind of designed to do so, is you have a series of drop-down menu options, some text fill-in boxes you can type in, give us a description of things you would like to do, check boxes, those kinds of things to just filter the proper information that it's applicable to what you want to do. And we have the ability to weed out the information on, say, long applications that doesn't necessarily apply. We can take that, anything that doesn't necessarily apply to what you're doing, and weed it out through a series of, almost like a questionnaire, if you will. And we're just collecting the relevant information for what you want to do to your home or what you would like to permit. Another great feature about this system, this search function here, this integrates with the state. This goes with the State Department of Professional Licensure, and this search function will actually pull the information from the state database for contractors license, plumbers licensing, gas fitters licensing, hydraulic licensing. So if you have a license with the state as a contractor, it will pull it in here, and so you don't have to go find it every time. And if it will give you let us know that that license is current and it's active and it's in good standing, which is something important we needed to have. The other thing this system is going to allow us to do is digital signatures. So the days of wet signatures on a lot of this stuff and wet stamps from engineers, those days are kind of over. So we accept full digital signatures and digital stamping on just about anything that comes through our office at this point with permitting. And that kind of rules out having to scan things in and bring them back in, or having to actually come down with a set of hard documents to the building department. The one thing we didn't want to do is have somebody fill out a permit online, but then come down to the building department with a set of plans. That doesn't do anybody any good. So I thought it was important to note that we can take digital signatures legally for these things. So simply type your name in there and then click submit and you're good. So here's where you can add attachments. Very simple. Depending on the situation, the system's automatically going to trigger the requirement for certain attachments. So if this is a new house, you're going to see the required steps here. It's automatically going to ask you, not allow you to move forward unless you submit a set of construction documents and you give us your energy compliance certificate for your new home. Right? It's pretty standard par for the course. You kind of need a set of plans to build a house, right? So it's not going to allow you to submit that application unless you do so. And again, other permit applications that we have, you may not have anything really necessarily required because there's so many scenarios out there, but just a good function of the system. So this also helps us here in the town hall, which most people overlook, is we don't have room for digital storage. So this system is all on what everybody hears, the cloud, right? So this is all cloud-based. So this is storage off-site. This does not take up local server space. When you start dumping a ton of electronic file data into storage, that's a real problem, and we don't have to worry about that. So the other option you're going to have here that's going to allow you is add any kind of other attachment information that you think is relevant, whether it's a picture of your dog or it's an additional set of plans, it doesn't matter. If you have another attachment you want to add, you're always going to have that option. And you can come in hindsight and do it at any time as well. Once I submit a permit application, I'm going to have the ability, I'm going to get a screen that looks like this. With any application you submit in this system, I'm going to have a page that looks like this and allows me as the applicant to immediately send a message to whoever manages that application. I can go in and say, hey, I forgot this. Can you please, hold up until I get you this? You can send any kind of message you would like to whoever's looking at that application. And vice versa. Staff can send something back as well. On the left-hand side of your screen here, you're going to see some other options you have as you can go back and look at your submission. You can go back to add any attachments. One of the big features here is the guest feature. So a lot of our contractors who have office staff, a plumbing outfit that has, 6 or 8 plumbers and they have an actual office staff, they can go in and attach their staff as a guest. So that office staff can go in and retrieve that permit. They can pay for those permits. They can do those administrative tasks that, say, the plumber isn't necessarily going to want to be doing out in the field. So that's a big thing for contractors with this to be able to do that. That's very helpful for them. This here is what we call a workflow. So every application, everything that goes into this new system, whether it's dog licensing, whether it's a sidewalk permit or it's a building permit, has some kind of workflow in the system that's set up to. What's the process from start to finish with that application process and that permitting process? And that's that workflow on that side. That applicant is going to be able to see in real time where that is with the town, who it's with, what step in that workflow it's at. And that's helpful to have in real time. There's the messaging. So once you submit something, also you're going to, anytime the system takes action, if you will. So if we issue a permit, if a fee is due, if we send you a message, hey, we need this is missing, the system is going to send you an automated email that looks something like this and let you know that action or some kind of action is needed, some action has been taken on your application or anything in the system. And you're going to have this nice little blue icon down here. You can simply click on it. It's going to take you right to it as an applicant or a user and let you take care of it. On the back side, this is what employees see every day. So this is where the employees live in inspectional services, fire prevention, DPW in some fashion at this point, to see what's going on and what they have to do on a daily basis. So this actually is a snapshot of some current permitting in our system, also some test permitting that some of the other departments are doing. But this is all this entire area is all the departments of real time of what's going on in this system, town-wide. On the left-hand side here, you're going to see active records, ways to filter through those things, anything to be able to filter to see any money that's owed to a certain service area or a certain record type. You can see any documents that have been issued. This is a filtration system right here to be able to create any reporting you'd like in live time out of this system inside a few minutes. This here, these are two methods, these arrows here, these are two methods that the employees are trained to really pay close attention to because this is where they live. Is on the left-hand side, you're going to see that little envelope. Those are tasks. Those are something that's assigned to that user. So every staff in inspectional services and fire prevention and whoever's going to use this is assigned to certain tasks in the system, either a permit review, an inspection, those types of things. It's an actual action required and you're assigned to something and that's your workload. That's what you're being assigned to do. On the upper right-hand corner, those are notifications. If I ask an applicant to go back on and upload a set of plans, well, I don't want to have to babysit that and go back and constantly check. That notification is going to light up and let me know that something was attached to that record, so I can go back and confirm that we got what we needed to be able to move forward. So the system has some automation to it. The next big thing on your left here is inspections, at least with inspectional services and fire prevention. This is a big thing. So every day we have a list of what's called the requested inspections. So the system will allow applicants to go on when they get far enough in the process to request an inspection. They can go online right from their phone, right from their laptop, their iPad, whatever they want, and they can request an inspection for their work that they're doing, a framing inspection, a plumbing rough, it doesn't matter what it is, whatever inspection they needed. And staff will go in on a daily basis to be able to retrieve these and schedule them accordingly. This is what they look like. This is somewhat from an administrative level where I can basically sit in my office at this point and look and see where every inspector in the office, this is just the local building inspectors, but we can see on a daily basis out of this system where they're all going. So we get a lot of call volume in the building department. Is my inspection scheduled today? When are they going to be there? Those kinds of calls. And this helps us to help in real time to give them real feedback on how far out they might be, how far down the list it is, any of those types of things, and confirm that it is scheduled, those kinds of things. It'll provide real-time data to anyone in the office who needs to look this up. Oops, sorry, too many clicks. So this will also allow us to access the record types right here, so the inspectors in the field actually have access to this in the field, so they can have real-time data in the field with the digital records that they need to access while they're doing inspections. It also allows them to reassign inspections to each other, so you got to draw a hard line with those guys because they start messing with each other a little bit. But so you hope that you can reassign inspections at any time if you want. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this. It's very, very user-friendly. Moving forward. So this is what a building permit looks like to the staff. So you can see all the information that would have been, where's the laser pointer? All the information that would have been collected through that questionnaire, say, process on the application populates right here. And everybody has access to it. Anyone who's a user in the town hall or with the town as staff has access to view this regardless. Also on the left-hand side, it's going to give you that workflow. So it's going to show you everyone who it's assigned to do their reviews, who's done their reviews, where it is in the pipeline, where that permit application is. And this is real time. And this correlates with the applicant side to see that list in real time as well. One thing I want to note that's very important here is now we have the opportunity to somewhat expedite a building permit process at least because all these reviews are happening at the same time. This isn't necessarily heading over to the fire department to get a signature, heading down to the sewer department, then heading over to the Board of Health. This is in real time. This is all at the same time concurrent. So everybody looks at it at the same time. So it really helps us move this along in a little bit quicker. Once we're ready to issue the permit, you're going to get an email with fees due. The system will notify you that we're ready for you to pay your permit fee. So this will automatically, based on how we have the system set up, we have certain data that we simply enter into the system and it will populate the fee automatically. So most of the fees in the inspectional services are automatic. They are verified, 100% verified by a staff member before they are sent out. However, they do populate automatic. Somebody can come in at the counter at any time and pay with a check. They can pay with a credit card right over the counter. We do have terminals at anyone who's going with this OpenGov service will have a credit card terminal that comes along with it. So we purchase those. We have those just about up and running. So you can come in at any time and pay with those. The e-checks, unfortunately, we can't take e-checks. We can't process any kind of e-check at the counter. And I'm told mostly because we're not entering bank account information. You need to enter in your banking information to do it. So what I mean by that is an owner at home who wants to pay for a permit, they actually log into their bank account and it connects with their bank account in order to transfer those funds. We're not just simply entering a routing number and a checking number. So it's a little different. So very simple. Little into the reporting end of this. So at any time I can look up I can map out any record type, any service area, anything I really want and map it out throughout town to figure out how many permits we've done in a certain period of time of a certain type of permit. Any of that type of data we want to try to find, and we actually want to map it out through town to see if there's a concentration in a certain area of a certain type of permitting going on. We can do that. Some more of the analytics we can get into here is at any time I can take at a very high level, I can simply take, this was sometime last week, I believe, that this is going to show you that we've collected not quite $500,000 in revenue since we went live, and we've issued a little over 1,400 permits. I can do any date range we want, any type of record, a service area, same thing along any of those lines. This is a real high-level, broad view of just pulling simple data out to run some kind of reporting. Now, one thing I'd like to let the public know is we're going to be going forward with what's called a transparency platform. So we have not finished the training on or 100%, let's say, wrapped our head around how to manage it 100% yet, but pretty quickly we're going to be launching this where the public will actually have the ability to access this transparency platform on our website, and they will be able to filter the data how they see fit, and take a look at our records, our permitting, and revenue we've collected on certain types of permits, number of permits we issued, and any kind of number of variables they want to filter with. The public will be able to interact with this at one point. So they can change it to certain pie charts. I can tell you that this is actually a snapshot from last week. Again, this is, since, it's important to note, since before we went live, we were 100% paper, and we took in maybe a couple $100,000 a year in credit card transactions compared to about $3 million a year. And right now you can see in real time that that's the percentage we're doing credit cards now. So we know that the public are taking to the credit card transactions and that the payments, and I can tell you we've only processed over-the-counter credit cards. Somebody comes in and wants to pay for it in person, a handful. So this is all remote transactions taking place from the field, from contractors on their phone or homeowners sitting at home on their computer. They're all paying for it remotely. So this is just another way to filter that data. I can actually tell you what type of transaction the trades are really paying for. So, you know, your electricians really like to use their credit cards. The plumbers are really coming in with the checks, and they're paying with checks. So I can actually filter that data to tell me who's paying and how they're paying for it. That's it. Yeah.
No questions. I mean, you know what? This board wanted change, and boy, did we get it. So congratulations, and congratulations.
We do have one more presentation. Our town clerk, Ms. Kelly McElrath, is going to talk about some of the technology upgrades over at the town clerk's office. And you're right, Madam Chair, you asked for change, and you got it.
That I did.
Thank you. Hopefully I won't go too much. I actually bought show and tell, but in all honesty, I bought one that's going to be used for early voting, so I'm not sure how much I'll be able to do at show and tell. But if you voted in person early voting in the fall, or if you went to the polling locations in November, you might have noticed that we purchased poll pads. I think, especially with the chair of A&F here, I thank A&F for supporting this purchase to allow us to have 18 of these iPads, where we are able to use these and check in the voters on Election Day. And what this does, it's a couple clicks, find the voter's name. If you remember the old days, there would be papers of, lots of papers you'd have to go through to find the street and then find the name and check them off. Now we're just checking people off on the iPad. I can say one of the polling locations in November mentioned that they had a line out the door first thing in the morning, and she said within 15 minutes they had the line done. And she goes, when we were using paper, it would have taken us like an hour to get that line through. So it's definitely saving the voters time at when they're at the polling location. The other thing I wanted to say is not only is it saving the voters time, it is saving the town clerk's staff time. If you're unaware, Big Brother's always watching, so anyone that, voting is a public record, so anytime you vote in an election, it is on your voter history. That is a state system that we have in the town clerk's office. In the past, as in last May and last September, anyone that voted, if you remember that paper list I went back to, it had a barcode on it. The staff would have to scan every voter in. In November, we had 29,000 voters. The staff would have been responsible for scanning 29,000 barcodes to get that voter history. Within 6 hours, I was able to get the information off the 18 different poll pads and get it into the state system. So it's not only saving time for the voters and the election workers, it's saving monumental staff time as well. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is the marriage registration system. In the next week, we will be updating the website with the new marriage program, and couples that want to get married can sit at the comfort of their home and give us their information. Then they come into the office, pay the fee, sign the documentation, and 3 days later, they get their license and they can go out and have the ceremony and be happily married for the rest of their lives.
Ever after.
That being said, in the past, they would have to come in, fill out the paperwork, then come back, so on and so forth. So this was going to save a lot of the couples in Plymouth and people that are using Plymouth as a destination wedding a lot of time that we can have them fill it out at home. So short and sweet, but we're making some advances in the town clerk's office as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could, just one common thread that ran through those last three presentations is Anthony came from the town of Weston, where he led the town of Weston's website redesign. So he brought that experience here. Kelly, coming from the town of Upton, used poll pads and all that technology, and she brought that with her as well. And Nick, who's now left, came from the town of Dennis, who had instituted e-permitting. And so when we started bringing up these ideas, having talked to Joe, Joe's been wanting to do this stuff for years, and now he had mutual partners in order to get this work done. So it worked out extremely well because we were able to take advantage of all their experience in the IT department under Joe's leadership, having the backbone to be able to implement all that. So great things happened the past 12 months, and this is just the first presentation amongst our annual review that'll take place next Tuesday.
That's awesome. And it is something that we've been trying to get done for a few years anyway. I know even before John and I had these discussions back in the time machine, John. Let's go back. So it's great to see, like I said, it's great to see all the things that you wanted and wished for come to fruition, especially 2 weeks before I leave office. So that's wonderful. Anybody have any questions or comments about the new website?
We have Al DiNardo on Zoom.
Mr. DiNardo, go ahead, please.
Hi, Madam Chairman. I'm Al DiNardo, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 17. First of all, this is music to my ears tonight. And I want to congratulate the town manager, Anthony, and the IT director. I don't want to leave anyone out, of course, the board and others. And of course, the town clerk. Two issues is, on the North Shore, we used the See, Click, and Fix for many, many years. And what's good as a town meeting member is that we could take a photograph of that pothole, like it was said earlier, and post that, monitor that. No more do we have to call in and get someone to pick up the phone. So town meeting members and others are going to really love that system. I've used it many, many times. It's great. The other issue is just this mopping up of posting of meetings, that we have the agendas now. Every week I check the calendar to see what meetings are happening this week. We can look at the agenda. It is light years ahead of where we were. I was a bit confused when I first moved here a few years ago, and I have to give a compliment to the town clerk, posting meetings now 48 hours in advance. Matter of fact, last night we had a Precinct 17 meeting, and Joe Hutchinson and I have made it a standard practice that we have the Zoom credentials posted on that. So really anyone can attend our precinct meeting, and I'm hoping that will be the standard process, the standard process with the rest of the caucuses and other meetings. So I have to give credit where credit is due. I know I have a big mouth on some issues, but I just have to say congratulations. And this is really music to my ears. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. DiNardo. And I believe there's someone else on there that would like to speak.
We have Lori Downs.
Hi. I have a question. I've been searching really hard to find the motions as voted on the website. I don't know if maybe Kelly can tell me how I can find them, under what category they would be.
We haven't posted them.
You have to go to a microphone.
Here.
I apologize, Lori. They haven't been posted. I haven't posted the proceedings yet because I'm still in the process of doing them. Been busy with the town election. And I believe the transfer from the old website to the new website, which, as Anthony alluded to, we're still in the process of trying to get the legacy information moved over. So hopefully within the next, once the town election's over, I'll be concentrating on getting that town meeting webpage up and running and getting all that information. We don't know how far back we'll be able to go with all the town meetings, but again, always feel free to reach out to me and the Public Records Act, Public Records Officer, and we could definitely get you the information
Through
on the
the-
website.
Okay, thank you.
Additionally, we're going to be providing a different format as to those documents for town meeting members and members of the public as well. That is a little bit more accessible and a little bit more user-friendly, so folks can find that information quicker. That's one of the things that we are currently working on, and probably in the next week or two.
Great, thank you. Okay, now, next order of business is the Phase 2 reorganization. Mr. Brindisi.
So I'm going to wait a few minutes while Anthony pulls up the slide deck. And just while I wait, I just wanted to just talk a little bit about just the last presentation and a couple comments by Mr. Donato. I mean, there's been some criticism that the town clerk is requiring the posting and making us do it within 48 hours. And yeah, that is all true, but that's following the open meeting law. And so, and there's criticism about, how we handle the warrant articles. Again, following the laws that are set forth in the town bylaws and the town charter. So, I would say that we're not doing anything special. We're just following the laws. And so that technology allows us to do just that. So, so folks that are asking questions, why have we changed things? Again, we're just trying to abide by the local and state bylaws.
Those pesky little laws, aren't they?
If you don't like the law, change it. That's what I always say. So today we'll begin Phase 2 of the proposed town reorgs. So this is the current structure as approved by the board last Tuesday. Today's focus is going to be on the police department and marine and environmental affairs. So as I did last week, I tried to expand the areas of discussion, and you can see here, if I can get this light to work. Under the police department, they have operations, administration, and professional standards, and they also have the 911 dispatch center. Under marine environmental affairs is harbor master, animal control, and natural resources. So those are the two areas we'll talk about this evening. The first thing you'll notice under the police department is we have removed the 911 dispatch center. So this evening we have with us Chief Foley, Chief Flynn, and Mr. Brothers, who spent the last 12 plus months working with the Sheriff's Department on relocating our 911 dispatch center over to the Sheriff's Department. And so that conversation began because there was a study that has confirmed that the town of Plymouth is no longer able to meet the current national 911 call answering standards. This change really came because the Chief Foley working, I think, started with Chief Bradley, right? You guys began that conversation with Chief Flynn to really try to think about new ways to enhance and meet those 911 dispatch standards. And so part of that was to think about consolidating both fire, police, and EMS all in one location. As you can imagine, and both chiefs had to explain it in more detail, how the system currently works from a 911 call with your cell phone, maybe being routed to state police, then going down to the 911 dispatch center over to fire and EMS for final dispatch of, say, a medical call. And you can see the sequence of events of how that takes place and all the different transfers that have to take place. And so this was to kind of short circuit all those different transfers. So this consolidation will reduce 911 call processing and dispatch times, decrease delays and response times while increasing first responder safety and awareness. The Sheriff's Department has already established a dispatch center with enough room to accommodate this need. and personnel needed to effectively operate a municipal 911 public safety answering point, which is known as a PSAP. To further enhance Plymouth's public safety 911 system, the town will invest, I believe we're using ARPA dollars, in considerable technology upgrades. And then finally, I'd say that there have been ongoing conversations with the existing 911 staff. We think that we're in a very, we're in a position now that we can announce this publicly. Staff, we're accommodating all their requests and their needs. Some will go over to the sheriff's department if they choose to. There are positions available for them. Those that choose not to take advantage of this system will move to other places. But we have accommodated all their requests and their needs through this relocation of the 911 dispatch center. So I'll pause there, and I'll defer any of the detailed questions over to either one of the chiefs to answer any questions you have regarding this reorganization.
I know that you've explained, like we've explained before, this has been going on for about a year. I don't have any questions. I'm well aware of, break the place up. I don't have any questions. I think the board has understanding, but unless anyone, John, do you have? No? I think we're good with all the questions for the dispatch.
Okay, so moving on to the next business item. So the other item that we want to talk tonight about is transferring the harbor master's personnel and responsibilities under the police department. Again, this has been an on and off conversation, I would say almost 13 or 14 months now, with the union members, myself, and Chief Flynn, who's with us today. So I'm going to ask the chief to explain some of the issues around police reform in this post commission, which is very different than these conversations that may have taken place prior to 2020. I know this conversation of the police department having the harbor master's office fall under that authority is not a new conversation. But what's different today is post. The previous town manager, the previous police chief did not have to work under the post commission. They did not have police reform to deal with. So Chief Flynn, if you could come forward and talk to the board about some of the issues that are surrounding this recommendation. Thank you.
Evening, everybody. Chief Flynn, Plymouth Police Department. So I've been tasked with providing an opinion as to whether or not it's feasible to reorganize the Plymouth Police Department and the Plymouth Harbor Master's Department to work together under one roof. When I started looking into this, the idea of this reorganization, I made a number of calls to communities all along the coast, North Shore, South Shore, South Coast, and there was no standard. There's no standard set from town to town. Some communities, the harbor management and harbor master is totally under control of the chief of police. Some communities have the harbor master as a division of the police department, and some have totally separate departments altogether. So, as Derek had stated, this isn't a new topic of discussion. I worked way back in the day. We talk about the 80s. We're not talking about the 1880s anymore. We're talking about the 1980s. So I worked down for Angelo Brigida and later Ralph Stavey from 1984 to 1997. There was a period of that time from 1996 to 2002 that we were a division of the police department. And I can say at that time, in my role, I didn't see any difference in my day-to-day responsibilities or job. In 2011, the former chief brought up another proposal for reorganization to place the administrative responsibilities of the Harbor Master's Department again under the police department. At that time, he cited concerns about training, liability, and all this stemmed around some of the harbor master staff are armed. As stated, it's not a new issue. However, with the passing of Chapter 253 of the Acts of 2020, also known as police reform, and the establishment of the Mass Police Police Officer Standards and Training Commission, also known as POST, I think this is an appropriate time to start talking about reorganization again. And I brought my captain of professional standards with me. He'll talk more about POST in a minute. As a chief of police, I'm extremely concerned about liability, training, and accountability. I'm also concerned right now the state has recognized more than one law enforcement agency in the town of Plymouth. What this does is this allows for the two different agencies to have different standards, policies, and rules of conduct, yet we have overlapping areas of responsibility. In order to mitigate the risk of liability to the town, it is my opinion that all employees who carry a gun and have the power of arrest shall abide by a standard set of policies and procedures, rules and regulations, and receive and maintain equal levels of training in use of force, de-escalation, and other high liability topics that are related to law enforcement. As a chief of the Plymouth Police Department, I oversee and I'm responsible for all policing and police matters in the town. I'm accountable for the supervision and assignment of all certified police officers. POST has certified 4 of the Harbor Masters Department members as certified police officers. I'm responsible for the establishment of the rules and regulations, the policy procedures of the department, and pursuant to Mass General Law 41, Section 98, I have the authority to determine what equipment and weapons are utilized by the town's police force. So in consideration of above and what Captain Higgins will explain a little more about POST, it's my recommendation that the Harbor Masters Department be placed under the administrative control of the police department. And what I mean by the administrative control, I don't mean operational. We don't want to be involved in the day-to-day operations. That's not our intent here. Our intent here is to make sure that we do already have a highly qualified police Harbor Masters Department, but we want to protect them and we want to protect the town from liability.
Thank you, Chief.
Before I start, I just want to say that I've been a lifelong Plymouth resident and a police officer for 26 years. I've enjoyed working side by side with Chad Hunter and the Harbor Master Department. They do an incredible job down there. And this whole thing is simply just to, as the chief said, to give them the tools and the training that they need, as well as the, and in turn, that's going to give the public what they need. Good evening.
Please identify yourself for the record.
Sir, I'm about to do that. Okay. I said before I began. Good evening, my name is Jason Higgins. I'm captain of the Professional Standards Division within the Plymouth Police Department. The division that I command includes post-compliance, internal affairs, accreditation, and training. I want to talk about the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission, POST as they're commonly known, and they have imposed stringent rules regarding certification of the Massachusetts police officer. They have comprehensive, time-consuming methods of submittal and investigation for internal or external complaints against officers. That would include harbor masters that carry guns and a badge. They track training, whether it's annual, in-service, use of force, specialized, in-house, medical, legal updates, and even bias training. Any officer that fails to complete their assigned training can and will be decertified. In addition, the head of the law enforcement agency is responsible for completing time-consuming interviews with every employee with the goal of attesting to the officer's morality, non-biased behaviors, and having no use of force encounters that cause red flags. POST has created a portal for submission of officer complaints, and soon a use of force portal will be online where an agency will have to report every use of force. Once again, time-consuming data that has to be properly characterized and submitted under a strict time frame. POST was created due to police reform. Police reform took place due to several incidents across this country where police did not act appropriately. Thank goodness the Massachusetts police officer was very rarely on the nightly news. Police or armed harbor masters are going to be held to a much higher standard in 2023 than at any other time in American history. So far, POST is only 33% complete in their review of Massachusetts police officers. Even so, they've refused to certify 246 officers, and they've suspended 28 certifications. When this happens, it's embarrassing for the agency and the community. Thankfully, Plymouth is in 100% compliance with POST. How do we make sure that these training errors don't happen in Plymouth, or at the very least significantly minimize the embarrassment or cost of this happening? I'll tell you. The Plymouth Police Department has hundreds of policies and procedures, rules and regulations, and general orders that reflect the best current practices of the American police officer. These policies, rules, and orders have been tested by the Massachusetts Police Accreditation Commission, and we've recently completed our second accreditation. This accreditation is so important, making sure that our community is safe. We have a dedicated Sergeant, Robert Ferguson, who is always looking to improve policy in accordance with the Commission's best practices. Once this policy is enacted, training must take place. Currently, Post recognizes two separate and distinct law agencies in this town operating under different policies, procedures, and standards of training. At this time, that's irresponsible. The Plymouth Harbor Master Department is the only Harbor Master Department recognized by the Post Commission as being a separate law enforcement entity within one municipality. This is because out of the hundreds of municipalities within within Massachusetts, it simply doesn't make sense and has the possibility to be a liability nightmare when there's different policies and procedures, different rules in place. As Post requirements grow, it would be almost impossible for Harbor Master Hunter to carry on with his very important Harbor Master duties and fulfill all of the requirements of Post, as well as all the training that Post requires. If one was to talk to a small agency police chief regarding this matter, and I've talked to several, just today I spoke with Carver Police Chief Mark Dufely, who explained that on his small department, the amount of time that he has to put into this is an absolute undue burden on his department and his people, taking away from their primary duties of providing law enforcement and the safety of the community. For a very short time, we heard the term defund. Thank goodness, due to the recognition of the police officer's difficult and necessary job, as well as the harbor masters, Massachusetts since 2020 has been just the opposite. Train, train, and more training. Massachusetts wants to give our communities the best police officer that they can. Without training is going to come complaints and litigation. Today's May 9th. We're over 5 months into 2023. The Plymouth Police Department's responded to over 15,000 incidents so far. I want you to keep in mind that we have 10 to 20 officers in every shift. We ride 24 hours a day. We've had only one complaint, not for theft, not for excessive force, no abhorrent behavior, simply one complaint for alleged rudeness. I can tell you that complaint was investigated. It was unfounded. The complainant was upset that she was cited for a traffic violation, and it was found that the officer did act with professionalism. The fact that we've only received one citizen complaint in over 5 months is a testament not only to our incredible police officers, but also their training. Necessary, uniform, ongoing, and robust training in accordance with Massachusetts best practices. I also happen to be the public information officer of the police department. If I ever had to address the public or the media regarding an unfortunate or attention-getting incident, which is always very possible in our line of business, I would have no problems falling back on the proven practices of this police department. However, if a public information officer, a member of town management, or a member of town council had to address the same set of circumstances without the extensive, ongoing, and necessary training take place, I'd feel pretty bad for that person. I wouldn't even want to think about the potential liability that the town would incur. It only makes sense to have law enforcement personnel, both police and the harbor master divisions, having the same standardized training and safeguards that our training department is ready to provide for them. Not only does it make sense, in 2023, it's 100% necessary and 100% prudent. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. I don't know if our harbor master and one of our assistant, do you want to speak? And Mr. Daly, you can be next.
Good evening, Chad Hunter, Plymouth Harbor Master. So I think we've had, I think as Town Manager Brindisi pointed out, this discussion has been going on for close to a year now. And, you know, I think everything that the Chief and Captain Higgins mentioned is absolutely true. We've, as far as the Harbor Master Department goes, we've been very proactive with training. When police reform actually came down, I was the Harbor Master Training Council for the state of Massachusetts for 10 years, and actually kind of had some oversight as to the training of harbor masters within the state and how police reform fit into that. So being in that position, all of my staff, myself, are proponents of training, and we would take any training that we could get our hands on. Everybody went through the Bridge Academy, which was sort of to bring us all up to that single standard that Post had set. So, you know, we're pretty far along in the process, but I think we're also a four-man department, essentially, with seasonal and part-time help that join us in the summer. So, you know, all of these things that Captain Higgins had mentioned are very cumbersome for a very small department. So I think in that sense, it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, we've been under the Marine Environmental Affairs Department for close to 12 years. Dave's not here anymore, but I just wanted to point out that we've had a wonderful tenure with that department. David Gould's been an excellent leader. We've completed a major overhaul of the harbor, completing dredging, building piers, bulkheads, the maritime facility, leveraging close to $20 million in state and federal money coming to the town to get those projects done, offsetting the cost to the town. Teamwork of this small department, group of about 9-10 employees, was truly extraordinary and a wonderful experience. And I've learned a ton from David. The projects that we've done together, it's been great. I guess more recently, we've had some very fruitful discussions. I met with the chief late last week. We met again yesterday with a larger group to really discuss the proposals leading to tonight's meeting. We have some details to work out in an MOA, which I think everybody understands. The chief has assured us that, operationally, things for the Harbor Master Department moving forward would stay the same. And I will say that's very important for us as staff. I think we all felt that we do a really good job for the size of the department and the demands that we have, especially in the summer months in the harbor. I've heard from a lot of people that have reached out or told me, like, you guys do a great job, and I think those words, they're very much appreciated, and I completely respect that. We've heard that from the community, and I think we want to make sure that we continue to provide those services to the boaters and commercial fishermen in the harbor, visitors, anybody that frequents the harbor. So I'll turn it over to Mike if he wants to say something.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for getting us here today. I'm really excited about this. What gives us the opportunity to be here today is the aggressive training that Chad put us on as soon as this came out. We were among the first people to get through all of the Bridge Academy, and it's been an up and down cycle. We were very much in post when it started, and then we were out of post, and now we're back under post. So we've been trying to keep up with it along the way, and I think right now is the time that we need to make this commitment formally for all of us to get it done and get it done right. We're still gonna, it's change. This whole night has been about change, and I'm sure it's difficult for someone who's been filing paper permits forever to go online. It's short-term pain for long-term gains, and I think that's the point where we're at right now, where it's just change, and but we can do it. We've done it in the past. We've got a great crew. The police have a great crew. We work together on the water all the time anyway. The changes day to day, I think, are going to be minimal, and I think the advantages we're going to get through training, accountability, and having one unified system, it really makes sense right now, and right now is a great time to do it. So we look forward to it. We're excited. It's going to bring some great new opportunities for us, and we're still going to get projects done. We're still focused on the harbor. None of that is going to change. We're adding more and more layers of great work that we've been doing, and I think right now is the right time to do this, and we're excited. We're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Great. Mr. Brewster?
Yeah, Wrestling Brewster. I've been a Harbor Committee member for over 9 years. I just want to commend the Harbor Masters Department. I've really seen it evolve and flourish under the Environmental Affairs. And my concern is that I don't think we would be where we are with aquaculture, dredging, the amount of grants that we got for the boats in the harbor, and that the Environmental Affairs and David have really brought the Harbor Master up to a higher level. I don't think he would be able to manage that new building that he helped create. I just want to make sure that that relationship between Environmental Affairs and the Harbor Master is kept up. And I think that it would be a benefit to the town that that relationship is you know, it's a natural relationship where we're dealing with aquaculture, we're dealing with environmental, that the harbor master and environmental affairs are still on the same page and still, you know, a unified force. Thank you.
To your comments, Mr. Brewster, as you well know, I'm also the liaison for the Harbor Committee, and I have to say that it's one of my favorite committees. I'm not trying to say my other ones aren't, but it is one of my favorite committees. I think what everybody has come to the realization that under the tutelage of our new town manager, we work together as a team. And nothing should change with anybody working together. It's done all the time. Derek enforces, you know, that relationship with everyone, and I'm not even remotely worried that they won't continue the way they have been. Derek?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point, and I shared your same concerns, Mr. Brewster, when we started this conversation a year ago, and you know, I was always wondering, having come back 5 years later and seeing the dredging project and the boat ramps and now a second boat ramp and so on and so forth, that, you know, this would be everyone's concern. But I can tell you right now that, you know, we had a meeting today. It was myself, it was David Gould, it was Mark Rail, our climate resiliency planner, and James Downey from engineering to talk about a different grant, a complete streams MVP grant that multiple departments are working together collectively on to try to bring multiple millions of dollars to the town of Plymouth for a different project. So this is what we do. All departments, in order to move forward with any infrastructure project, have to work together. So Mr. Hunter and Mr. Gould, they already have that baked-in relationship, so I don't expect them to do anything but the great work that they've done in the past.
Mr. Mahoney? Oh.
The guys first.
Chief Flynn. So, Chief, would this change all the requirements with respect to post, and so that these employees transition underneath the police department, a new status or designation? How does that affect their benefits, especially retirement?
So right now, Commonwealth of Massachusetts has 4 levels of retirement right now, Group 1 to Group 4. People, clerical personnel, DPW personnel, they're right now what they call Group 1. Public safety staff are at Group 4. And what that does is that gives public safety persons a higher level of a retirement benefit for a shorter period of active duty time. So right now, over several times, the town has tried to recognize the Harbor Master's Department and the work they do as law enforcement. And the way the law is written, because Harbor Master is not specifically within the state law, the requests have always been turned down. Right now, with post, their certification by a state agency as a law enforcement, certified law enforcement officer, and coming under, if they were to come under the police department, I would say is the best opportunity they've ever had through a home rule petition to get them reassigned to the Group 4 status for retirement as law enforcement officers.
Are there other communities out there where these employees are already in Group 4? No,
Well,
that doesn't happen.
as I said, when I went to other departments, the ones that the police department run the whole thing, they run it with police officers.
Right.
Other communities that do have the harbor masters under their purview, some of them are armed, some are not. Some are sworn special police officers, some are not. My intent, whereas the state does recognize them as certified law enforcement officers, is to make my recommendation that they may be sworn in as special police officers. So that would bolster the argument, if you will.
So I think that's a significant variable here. If they're going to be, reclassified, and that were to happen, and they're going to continue to carry weapons, we have a deadline for October town meeting of August 11th. I have no problem. I'm guessing we should probably wait a couple of weeks, but I would have no problem supporting an article that would go to fall town meeting
would I.
to get
I would write it up.
to get that ball rolling.
Right.
Just so you know, John, we met yesterday, and that is, one of the things that we discussed is putting an Article 4 for Group 4 for the harbor masters, and also further discussions with Derek is to take a look at the pay rates of everybody, and there may be some changes that we need there as well to make it more equitable for the guys joining the force. So I'm happy that they're going to be special police officers because, first of all, it's going to help the chief. We have a lot of details out there. There's a lot of money to be made with these details. I know the guys do a lot of them. So I think it's going to be a great benefit for these folks. And like I said, I mean, for an article for town meeting, hopefully I'll be in town meeting, and that would be something that's something that I would support. I mean, I would do it now if we could and say, let's get an article on for town meeting. So, anyone else? Mr. Quinton?
Thank you. I had my concerns about this early on, not because it was anybody's certain idea, but just because of the past history and how the Harbor Master Department got directed to the Assistant Town Manager. Going back in the time machine, we had a lot of complaints, and this was the result of those complaints, and that's where it's at. So then I come back now, and we're doing this, and time's changing, and I understand, but the most important thing to me was to have both groups, both departments come in unity and to do it the proper way. That was my wish. And I have to thank Betty, Chad, and the chiefs, and the captain. I said it right? Captain. Jack, everybody involved. Because I am going to support this, but I would like to revisit this in a year or 6 months. I'd like that to be part of this MOU, so we can just make sure everything, I'm sure it's going to, but in the event that it doesn't, we just need that safety guard, and I'm fine with it, and I don't believe it'll be needed. But when I make my decision on this, so everybody understands, because it's not that I don't trust the people I'm looking at, you have to look at things when you sit here sometimes as 10 years from now, 15 years from now. I'm not going to be here. I don't think John's going to be here. Betty definitely won't be here. I don't know about Harry. He likes to hang around.
John's going to be here.
All right, yeah, maybe Kevin. But what I'm trying to say is the harbor master will probably be different. The police chief will be. That's why I say the things sometimes I say, like, and Derek maybe. Maybe Derek will be mayor of Boston or running to Boston. I don't know. There's only one step up from Plymouth. So that being said, I just wanted people to understand my thinking. It was never to undermine the chief or Derek. It never was. But it was to listen to the concerns of the people that actually use the wharf and bringing it to where it should be. So I am very happy to be here tonight and to see you all working on the MOU. That's all I wanted. So good luck, Godspeed, be safe, everyone, and that's it. Thank you.
Chad and I were supposed to hold hands doing this.
Well, go right ahead.
So.
You still got a week. Go ahead.
And I said, when I shook his hand yesterday, I was like, "Oh, your hands are softer than mine." So, anyway. Are you looking for a vote, Mr. Mahoney?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the reorg as proposed by the town manager pending the creation of an MOU between MOA between the police chief and the harbor master with the support of the town manager for implementation on beginning of the fiscal year, July 1st.
Second.
We have a first by Mr. Mahoney, a second by Mr. Quintal. Discussion. All those in favor? Roll call, please. Mr. Helm?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney? Mr. Quintal?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Congratulations, everyone. Okay, on to the next order of business, the town manager's report.
All right, so I just have a short report this evening, just to make a few, provide a few updates. Just on Monday, actually yesterday, the building committee awarded the Manamint Fire Station reconstruction project to Seaver Construction. We're happy to report that the award is within our projected budget with a substantial cost savings, hopefully, if things go well with our contingency account. The Station 2 on West Plymouth is still on time and on budget. And the fire department's emergency preparedness program under the leadership of Christian Horvath have recently executed a tabletop exercise regarding the airport. As you know, we haven't done a lot of work with the airport, and we thought it was best that we engage the airport staff around any catastrophic event that could happen in the airport and how our responders would respond if that were to take place. And then on top of that, staying on the theme of preparedness, you probably have seen nationally, there's been a number of scams that have held hostage municipalities to having to pay upwards over $1 million to get their network back. So we are working with our IT department and our emergency preparedness department to develop we think would be the first in the state, a tabletop exercise around cyber preparedness and continuity of government. So what would happen if our network was locked down through a cyber attack? How would we continue to provide government operations during that period of time? And I think we heard today that there was one municipality that's been out of work for almost 30 days and trying to figure this out. So, thinking about preparation and the things that we need to do along those lines. And then as another announcement, May 20th is coming fast. That's our election date. Election date is the operating hours will be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Early voting will begin in this room on Thursday, starting through the town hall hours, and will go until next Wednesday at 4 p.m. We'll have Saturday hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We will not have Sunday hours for early voting. So again, starting this Thursday, going until next Wednesday, no Sunday hours, but we will be here on Saturday. We know that there's been a number of requests to promote this election, so we'll have electronic signboards throughout the community, one during the early voting period, and then on the day of election, we'll change the message to voting. I had the opportunity to attend the CAL event yesterday that was focused on volunteerism and recognizing all the volunteers that have helped the CAL over the past year. I think, we have well over 25 volunteers. And Ms. Michelle Brady, who, again, kudos to her and her leadership, she announced yesterday that looking at all of the volunteer hours has saved the town approximately $780,000 in salary by the generous gift of people donating their own time to get the work done at the CAL. So it was a great event. We had our state delegation there and local other dignitaries just there. The room was crowded for the luncheon to honor those volunteers at the CAL. And then before
Excuse me, Mr. Brandisi?
Yes.
I have a message from you from Michelle Brady.
Is it the check?
Which is why you said 700-something thousand, because you weren't
780,000.
sure. So Mrs. Brady asked me if I would show this to you.
Oh, so that is the check. Hopefully the camera can get that. So that $783,000 represents represents the dollar amount in volunteer hours that took place at the Cal. So
You wanted me to give this to you,
We-
Mr. Town Manager.
So we'll take this check, and again, I wish that was a real check that we could cash, but it just speaks. I mean, there's only 9 FTEs and 4 part-time staff at the Cal, and that's a busy operation. They serve a huge population. We have 25,000 of us seniors that live in this community, and so that check represents the volunteerism that take place up there. So again, a lot of great work by Ms. Brady to be able to pull all that together. So, but before I end my town manager report, not to do another presentation, but Anthony is going to talk a little bit about appointments. I think we have approximately over 100 potential appointments this coming June. And so we're pushing that message to get folks to apply to all of our board and committee vacancies, but we also have a very simple way to do that. I'm going to ask Anthony to show everybody.
It is reappointment season, and as any municipality does that has reappointments per fiscal year, we have, speaking to what Mr. Brindisi said, we have over 300 board and committee volunteers. That's significant. We have about over 30 to 40 select board appointed committees in general. So there's about 100 or so folks that are up for reappointment. And so we're trying to streamline the process with your blessing to have some type of form in place where we can get information in a more succinct fashion, and then also have select board members be more informed of what the folks have been working on in their committees and their boards for the past 3 years. And so we sent that message out with this form that you might be able to see at home, just describing what they have accomplished, what are they involved with, and some of the work that they're doing in their board and committee. And additionally, we are going to get that information, and then we are going to be able to, no matter what the board or committee that has an opening vacancy or what have you, starting in June or late May, we will be advertising a full blitz for all of the boards and committees that have vacancies and that are going to be due to expire June 30th, 2023. And I know we have a couple boards and committees that are more pertinent and time sensitive, so we're advertising accordingly as we speak for the retirement board.
Great. Mr. Helm.
A question, Mr. Sinisi, can you please explain to any residents who are still watching and might be interested, where on our website do you find this form center?
Great.
How do you get there?
Great question. So this actually is hidden. You only the folks that have the ability to, that are reappointed actually have access to this page. However, if you are interested in volunteering, you go to government, volunteer for a board or committee, and it has some of the vacancies that are available right now. It's not a full list. We're still prepping for the entire list. And you can submit an application online. It's not an application at all. It's just 3 or 4 questions. Maybe you want to include your resume. And it has all the contact information, which is actually kind of difficult to get sometimes. And then people can submit their credentials, their experience, why they're interested, involved, and it's kind of open-ended, just kind of, for folks to just express their interest. So that's kind of the basis of what we're going towards. So it's more automated. Folks are more than welcome to hand in a letter that they drafted, and they can email it to me. They can mail it. They can walk in and give it to me in the town manager's office. We're not trying to negate anything for folks that don't feel comfortable doing this online, but we're just providing an easier way, an more accessible way for people to have interest in municipal government and get involved.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Now we're going to new business, letters, old business, selectmen's open discussion. Anyone? I just have one quick thing, Derek, and I believe I sent it to you today. There are a couple of people, obviously, the White Horse Beach Parking District is different from any of our other beach stickers. It was. There are some people that sold their vehicles, but their stickers are still good till December of 2023. They're being told they have to have a piece of the sticker to get a new sticker. I sent something to Lynn that said, I'm sure City Hall Systems has a record of them purchasing a sticker. So they don't have pieces of their prior stickers. They did buy new vehicles. I have, I think, 2 people. I can send you that information. But they didn't know because, of course, the sticker thing was all new to the folks down there. So hoping that we can figure something out for them.
Yeah, as I think as Ms. Barrett pointed out, the policy does state that you're supposed to have a piece of the sticker. And the primary purpose is because if they show that the sticker is broken or torn, then we know that they're not trying to have 2 stickers for the price of 1, for example. So I think the only way to get around that is to try to ensure that they're actually not trying to get 2 stickers for the price of 1. So I think at this point, we'd like to know that they actually purchased a new vehicle and that they sold the previous vehicle. And so I think we need at least those 2 pieces of evidence.
Okay.
And have them come to town hall.
Okay, great. I will share the message. Actually, they're probably watching. So, anybody else? I'll have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All those in favor? Good night, everyone. See you next week.